So I hit the wrong intro button.
Well, you can hit the other intro button. We can do it again. They won't mind.
Okay. Wait.
Technical difficulties.
Okay. So should I do the actual intro now?
Yeah, do the actual intro. It's just a few seconds.
Lee's not here and we're all discombobulated.
You know what?
It's hard without Lee here.
I'm firing everybody today.
Right. Here we go. Here's the real one. Because we don't want anybody to be deprived of the actual intro.
Right. Here. Yeah. All right.
Whoa, this ain't going.
Everybody on the chat tonight for your comments. Well, that did pretty good. Welcome to the beat. Go ahead, listen.
It was the countdown for the intro is what it was.
Yeah. We welcome everybody to the Bee Connection tonight, and we took two to start this live tonight. So that's what you get when you don't have Lee involved with your chat. He sure does help out greatly in the background.
Everything.
So, yeah, he's a great gentleman. You know, I can't thank him enough for the things he does, and you know, the advice that he gives. He's just an all-around great person. So,
yeah, he sure is.
Yes, he is. Absolutely. And, you know, tonight we've got something we're going to be talking about, and I'll repeat this once we finally get started, but we're going to talk about comb, bee comb, and how important that is for your bees. And I just want everybody to remember we all have a different way of keeping bees. And it seems like when you start talking about comb that people tend to get a little aggravated. So if it's not the way you do it, no big deal. But I want to hear how everybody does it because it will make me a better beekeeper. I can choose what I want to do from what you guys do in the audience, what what Melissa and Tom does, what Spanky does. You know, we might all do it just a little bit different, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So before we get started, I just want everybody to know we're not going to be bickering at each other on the chat tonight because I've seen some Facebook pages where it's been pretty intense. So kind of Tom had mentioned, let's talk about some comb. I'm like, whoa, man, I seen some video Facebook pages and then people were going at each other. So, but it's a very good topic to talk about this time of year. So that's why we want to talk about it. So Tom and Melissa, how's everything going in y'all's bee yard today and this week?
Finally calming down a little bit.
A little bit. We've had for the last here, and I think this has kind of been maybe across a lot of states, and maybe people can comment in on this. We have for about the last, I'm going to say it might even be 4 weeks now, at least 3.5. It's been a lot of rain. And that's not a bad thing, except if you're trying to get bees to fly and capture nectar and bring it back to the hive. But I know most of the country had been under drought conditions, some more severe than others last year, and it kind of coming out of it. But so it seemed like it's been a little bit slow to bring nectar in the last few weeks. The bees are still building comb, but not gangbusters. And I noticed they hadn't been filling some supers very well. But tonight, just before I got back here and grabbed a shower, I was in one of our bee yards, and I did notice they were actually filling supers up. So we've had a few days that it has been dry, and apparently that's allowing the nectar to flow, and the bees are grabbing that. Now, I haven't noticed that in every single yard, but I did notice it in a couple. So that is promising. So maybe we can catch the tail end of our spring flow if we can have some rain, but not rain
Every other day,
4 days a week. There has to be that balance there. So, but everything's going well. We just yesterday checked. I think it was 20 splits that we had made.
18.
But there was 2.
But those weren't splits that we made. Those were 2.
Okay. Well, hey, we're going to agree to disagree, and this is not about comb.
I'm right.
There was like 20 splits that were made. All of the queens came back laying. We didn't have one failure on those. But early in the year, when we had made those splits really early, my take was only like 30 or it was between 30 and 40%. So it was not good. So
and that's when we were having a bunch of rain days all the time.
Yeah, a bunch of rain, and it was a little bit chilly. So that kind of gives us something to play around with. We just help to understand a little better. Maybe I won't quite jump the gun that early, or maybe I'll try it again next year and see what happens. But so all those are looking good. We had to move one bee yard from a location that we've had for a few years today. They're selling the property. We moved it out a little bit west to where we're at. So we got that set up last night and today. So that's all moved. So everything's in pretty good shape for us. So all is well.
So you guys are not seeing any capped honey yet, Tom?
Oh, no, we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're capped. Yeah. It's just usually this time of year, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
They're just not pulling it in like they usually do.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Like instead of like 3 and 4 supers on the hives, we're like at 1 and 2.
Okay.
So,
yeah. All right. I got you. Hey, Spanky, how's things going off the mountain with you?
Well, we've not been getting rain all the time. We've had quite a few days with nothing but nice clear skies, so that's always a plus. I don't know what all is flowering in the area now. I know the mimosas haven't opened up yet. I know they've opened up down there where Bob is, down in South Carolina, but they've not opened up here yet. But I mean, I see the bees go in and out, so they're going to something.
Right. So you've had did your hive swarm the other day? Did you ever decide whether that hive had swarmed out or what went on with that issue?
So I found a little tiny swarm in a tree, but it wasn't nearly the size of the amount of bees that was in that hive versus what was in it when I looked in it. So I don't know if I caught like a secondary, like a virgin queen, or because I went back in and checked every frame of that box, and I couldn't find a single capped queen cell. They were all open. So I don't know. I don't know if they all emerged and some of them have gone out on mating flights and haven't come back yet, and then because they all emerged, or the one emerged and they killed the rest of them, they decided to swarm that way. But the amount of bees in that tree was nothing near what was in that box, so I assume it was multiple swarms.
Well, I tell you what, around here, I have not gotten in my bees at all. Not been in any of the hives, nowheres all week. Not caught no swarms this week. Beekeeping has been pretty much zero for me. We've basically been building beehives. I have went to the doctor. I have a bone spur on one of my feet, so that's been killing me, been after me for quite a bit now, and it's causing my back to hurt. So I really haven't gotten to do a lot of beekeeping. And I've got one bee yard that needs supers on it extremely bad and have not made it out there. So I'm hoping maybe Saturday, if those colonies, there's 4 of them out there, if they've swarmed out, then so be it. I'll go ahead and add supers, and hopefully everything will be good, because they're a little bit higher elevation than even I am. So they're a little bit behind most of the other bee yards. So, but, getting old sucks, folks. I don't know. It just seems like every day is something else that's hurting. So that's part of life, something we got to deal with. But Oh, I think I did tell you I did get my Nuke yard set up. So I did get that done on Saturday of last week, and I did get an F1 Sukobe Queen to do some grafting from a good friend of mine. So looking forward to doing some grafting tomorrow from that queen, and so that'll be very exciting. So hope everybody in the audience is still doing good. I hope, Keith, I hope you're still getting some honey down there. So hopefully that means a good sign for me that we're still getting a good flow up here. So, and DC wants to know how old I am. I'll let y'all know I am 45. So I feel like I'm 60, to be honest with you folks.
Well, if you can get those bone spurs under control, that will probably help you out a lot.
Yeah, that's not fun. So it was funny because I went into the X-ray and I asked the lady. I said, "Well, is it a bone spur?" She said, "Well, we're not really allowed to tell you, but you can come look at it and see." She said, "You can figure it out pretty easy." And I looked at it, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's a bone spur." She laughed. She said, "Yep, that's a bone spur." So.
Hold on, she said they're not allowed to tell you.
The radiologists aren't. They have to wait until
the doctor tells you.
Yeah, the doctor has to tell you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but at least we know what's going on, and at least some surgery coming up, hopefully, and they can take care of it. But anyway, let's get back to beekeeping because I really want to talk about comb. I want to talk about building comb. I want to go through it all tonight. I want you guys in the audience to comment. As soon as Lee gets here, we'll get him to throw the link up. People can come and join the chat. I've got pictures that we can look at. There's some videos. If you guys get a chance to check out David Burns, he did some wax on some foundation and turned it red, put red dye in it, to see how much of the wax that he put down would they actually draw. And he figured with the natural wax would be white after that. So he could see how much wax they used off the foundation. That's a really good video. And Cayman Reynolds did a video talking about how important drawing comb is this time of year. So those are two great people to learn from right there. So
Ricky,
let's ask the question. Yes.
Um.
Oh, I missed a year.
Leave it up to your spouse to tell you you're wrong.
I gotta tell you, she's got her little ears listening at work, Yep. So what do you say? So, all right. So I'm gonna ask a question, and again, before we get started, this is our opinions. Nobody bicker and fight. We're all adults. We all keep bees a little different way. So if it's not the way you keep your bees, don't worry about it. But my question that we're going to start with is, how old do you let your comb get to be before you throw it? So what do you say, Tom and Melissa?
We don't throw comb out.
So I'll say it like this.
It out.
So I will say it like this. I don't know that I've got a specific or set year that I would list that. What I would probably say is we were pretty diligent at first about numbering or putting the year on our frames. We haven't been as good about that the last couple of years.
We haven't even done it.
What I actually look for in comb is I look for the wall to be really thick. When it looks really thick, and comb ages fairly well. It doesn't age. It gets dark quickly because as she continues to lay eggs in there, and it leaves the cocoons behind, and it slowly shrinks in size. Now, I don't know exactly what that means as far as how many cycles that you can go through one single cell before it gets down to a point to where it may be
making too small of bees.
It may be causing an adverse effect on the bees themselves. So I don't know that I've got a specific year. So if I was going to throw it out there, I would probably say somewhere between, I don't know, maybe 5 and 8 years. But I've already cycled some of my comb out that looked like it had a really thick wall. I've also cycled some of the comb out that I've gotten from, like, if you get a Nuke in from a bee grower, and generally those are all commercial guys, right? More often than not, and I'm not saying this is every single time, those guys that do that, generally speaking, and this is not just kind of a generalization, those guys pollinate. And what I'm looking for is I would rather not have that comb in my apiary long term, because I don't know what pesticides, what herbicides, and what other issues that comb might have been around. So what I'm looking for specifically is, and I'm not sending anything out to the lab to have test. What I'm looking for is, as it gets really dark, almost kind of like not really black, but really dark, and the walls get really thick, that's when I start to cull those frames. And again, generally those have been ones that I've gotten when I purchased Nukes and brought those in. So that's what I'm looking for myself. So as far as an actual year, I think that's kind of hard to say, because did that queen rear, brood in it 25 times, or was it, 35 times? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to know, I guess.
Sometimes with that comb also, though, we'll either move it to the outside frame so it can turn into a honey frame. That way it's still usable and the bees are just using it to store honey for their own purposes. Or it's just, looks like it just needs to go. Yeah. We'll just melt it down.
So I think
render it.
That picture is a prime example.
Yeah, look how thick those walls are.
You can't, all it looks like is a round cell. There's no longer a hexagon in there. So, I mean, it's really kind of hard to make out. So the walls themselves look really thick. Not that wouldn't be fine for a honey frame on the outside, or, something like that. Maybe if you want to throw it into a swarm box, but that's my opinion. That's how I approach it.
It's pretty good. So what about you, Spanky? What do you think? What is there an age limit that you look for?
I've never had comb long enough to know. It's something always happens to it.
So maybe we should talk about how to store your wax comb there, Spanky.
I mean, you can store it however you want. If nature wants it, it's going to go get it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's a good. I like that, Spanky.
Mm-hmm. So would you have an opinion of what you've read and other people around you? Do you have an opinion when you think you should switch your comb out?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you see people like the dirt rooster, you see his equipment out there. He catches swarms in it, But I know out in nature, typically they have a symbiotic relationship with the pests. So the pests come in, wipe out the hive, but they destroy the comb. In the process, it drops down, but the smell's still there, so a new colony comes in, builds a new comb. So I know there's a process there that typically the comb itself is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
kind of like the cleanup crew, right?
Yeah. What do you think, Lee, man? What do you say about comb? What's your opinion, sir? What's your thoughts?
I would say some of it depends on your environment too, where you live at. Now, we were talking the other day, I mean, depending how far you are from agriculture, if they're spraying. But in general, here, I don't have anything, probably I'd say within about 20, 25 miles, any farming at all. I mean, besides just a little neighborhood garden or something, but actual farm is nothing around here. Now, I would say, kind of like Tom was saying, once it starts turning black, you getting them cocoons built up in there, the cells are getting small, or like the picture you just brought up that I had, that's some wax moth damage that I had in some of mine, and they had to be scraped out and melted down. But I would say just myself, I've only been doing it, I believe this is going into my 5th season. So I would say every 5 to 8 years, if you're not seeing any problems and don't have to worry about pesticides or anything being in your wax.
And I'm going to piggyback off of what Lee says. I do think being around a farm, or a place that sprays heavy pesticides that you got your bees, I do think there's a certain time to change your combs out. I'm a little bit like Tom and Melissa. I'm going to make them last as long as I can make them last, because it's really hard to get comb, as Spanky's talked about just now. I have seen drone comb with the big cell size, like they have built more wax around it and made them into regular worker size. So I have seen that. This year really is the first year that I have went through my comb and tossed stuff out. And it would surprise people what I threw away. I threw away a lot of drone comb. So I like a lot of natural wax. So those cell sizes are really big. And if you slide those into your regular 10 frame box in the middle, I guess she's going to be laying drone comb. She's not going to be laying worker comb. So that's something you don't want. Now, like Melissa and Tom said, that's a good comb to put on the outside. Let them put honey and resources in it. But I have so many combs that are drone combs that I can't do that. So I melted those down. Now, I've been a beekeeper for 6 years, so I had some comb that had pollen, and you could see they had actually capped over some of the pollen. So that tells me some of that pollen is bad. So I took those combs and cut those out, put that in my wax melter, and got rid of it. So I had about 4 or 5 of those. I think I had about 15 of the drone combs. And then I had some nasty, absconding hives, or some hives that didn't make it through winter, and they had some mold on them. So, and that's another question I want to ask is that mold okay to throw back into your beehive and let the bees clean it up? Or is that something you should and throw away? So what do you guys say? If it's molded, should you throw that comb away? Should you put it out and let the rainwater wash it off? So
when we've had moldy comb before, we dip it in a bleach water solution first to kind of sanitize it, I guess, sterilize it, and then just put it back in the hive and the bees will clean it out. But so like that moldy comb, is that like the absconded hive that you were talking about, or a dead out? Where like bees died and they started to mold?
Yeah, the ones I had were actually a couple that died over winter. You know how all the bees cluster and you get that mold growing on the bees and everything. This picture was taken. This was taken.
I've taken those and just put them back and kind of scrape off the nasty stuff or as much dead bees as you can get out of it. And we've just put those back in hives and let the bees clean it up, and they've had no issue.
I was going to say too, what a lot of people don't realize, depending on how bad the mold is, the bees can clean a lot of that up for you. But the picture Ricky was showing a minute ago that I had for all that wax moth damage, just because it looks that bad, don't just throw that wax away. It may be brittle, it may look bad, but if you can render it down, this is the wax right here that actually came out of those frames.
Wow.
I can melt that now and recoat new frames with it.
Yeah.
Now you may have to render it 2 or 3 times, but it'll come clean and it's reusable. Don't throw it away, because that's a lot of work right there that you're losing if you throw it out.
You can get that goes back to David Burns' video that he did, and he laid a huge layer of wax on that foundation, and they draw all that off really quickly because there's such a thick layer there for them to draw back. So I think that's a great example that Lee showed right there. And that's some other frames I've got. I've got wax. I mean, I have a lot of plastic foundations that need to be cleaned and re-waxed. Yeah, right there.
See, I've never used any.
I waxed some drum frames the other day.
Oh, did you? You don't use any wax foundation, Spanky?
None of those. I use just wax foundation, not the plastic. I mean, I just bought a bunch of the wax, and I haven't went through it yet to consider buying anything else.
I don't see a problem really using the wax foundation like you're saying in your brood boxes, but I wouldn't suggest using them in honey boxes because
I
once
love
it
it.
goes into an extractor and it goes to spinning, there's a
blow
high
out.
chance they're going to blow out.
Well, I've got wax for honey supers, and I run the fishing line in them.
And you hadn't had any blowout?
The one blowout I had, I didn't put it in the extractor right, so it was off balance. That was my fault.
Okay.
See,
But
we
most of the time, I just let them draw their own comb out in the swarm trap. There'll be a few frames in there with some comb on them, but the rest will be blank.
Yep.
I think it was about 2 years ago that we kind of started transitioning all of our stuff to plastic foundation for the deeps and the honey supers, because even though the wax foundation was wired in, when it's really super hot in the summer and you're doing an inspection and that frame with the wax foundation is full of honey, it just collapses. And I think we were in one bee yard, and like I had 2 or 3 of them in one day just disintegrate on me because it was just so hot outside. I'm like, nope, I'm done with this. We're gonna start cycling all this wax foundation out, and that's what I don't even know if we have any more wax fountain. We might have a few, but
Yeah, there could be a few.
we're pretty much
The only wax foundation I have left is just for shallow boxes, and that's what I used to do, like comb honey.
cut comb. Yeah.
Other than that, everything I got has plastic foundation with wax on it. Now I do have a couple supers and a couple brood boxes that have the plastic frames, the full plastic. And I'm not real big on them. I just ain't had much luck with them. They do draw out some, but I just find they want to draw extra wax on top of every single one of them bars that they don't do on my wood frames.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not as fond of it myself either, Lee. I don't like the full plastic frame. The one thing that I don't like about them is when they put comb on both sides and they fill it up with honey, that thing likes to twist around. I mean, it's kind of, there's a lot of flex in it, where you don't get that with a wooden frame.
Yeah. Wooden frames are my favorite. Wooden frames with plastic foundation.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say that, Lee.
No, go ahead, Tom. You good?
I was going to say the wax foundation in there. The one thing that I don't like about them is what will happen is if a colony gets really large and robust and they're starting to build cells, and maybe what you're trying to do, if you're trying to cull all those cells and introduce a queen or something, what they'll do on the wax ones is they generally like to tuck them in around the outside edges or inside between the bottom of the comb and the bottom bar itself. So unless you shake bees off, it's a little harder for me to actually see the queen cells that they tuck up in there, because they can kind of hide them up in there, and it leaves another opportunity for the queen to hide if I'm trying to locate her for some reason too. So that's kind of the reason I like the plastic. There's just less room for her to hide, and they can't tuck the queen cells in there.
Well, the wax foundation too, you tend to see more holes.
Yeah.
In the frame, the comb or whatever, and then also I think they tend to draw more drone cells with that wax foundation. Also, I feel like
I haven't had the issue, but I've heard several people say too with the wax foundation, if you put a queen cage over a cell to try to keep it from getting loose, that they'll actually drill through the backside, basically.
Yeah, they'll chew through the backside. Yeah, yes, they will.
Didn't you have that happen once?
I think I did. Yeah.
She had it happen a long time ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say that I like some natural comb, and we're a little cooler than you guys are. So I'm a little cheap. So I do a lot of natural comb build in my hives. And you guys are absolutely right. You have to be very careful with it. It will break off very quickly with you. After about a year, it's pretty good comb after that point. After it's had the bees have hatched out of it a few times. You have those cocoons in there. It firms up pretty good. So, but all my supers and my shallows, my mediums and shallows, pretty much all have either wired foundation or natural drawn comb in them. I like I said, I'm cheap, so if I can get away with it, I'm going to. So, we're we're a little cooler than most people, so we can kind of get away with that a little bit more. So that's just us up here. So Lee's got a picture of what David Burns did down here by adding the red dye in with the wax. And that's really cool to see how much comb they draw just from the heavy wax that he put on there. Look at that. That's amazing.
So that's just he rolled that on. He just rolled that wax on and the bees pulled it up like that. That's cool.
That is really cool.
So if they had put their wax on that, right, it would be white on the top of that red, right? So
you'd think
that
so.
that really shows you, Lene, even though you buy the foundations, the plastic foundations that have a good spraying of wax on it, if you will go ahead and roll that with some heavy wax, you're getting even a better chance for your bees to draw out wax. And it's a lot of honey when you start thinking about what the bees have to use to draw wax out. When you, like you see what Lee had there with that big bar of wax, you can just roll that on there and it makes things a whole lot easier. So that's really cool that he did that video with the red dye. Yeah, there we go.
The real question is, when the bees put nectar in that, will that red dye dye the honey?
I would say it would, but again, he did this for a show thing, an experiment. So this is not something he suggested that you do. It was for an experiment purpose. So
right.
That kind of makes me want to put some red dye in some blue dye, and then have some white acorn, because then I want to do red, white, and blue, and then that would make a heck picture, you know?
Yes, that would. Man, Tom, that's an awesome idea. So
what? I don't know that I could try it anytime soon, but maybe for next year or something, you know?
Yeah, that's a great idea. 100%. Hey, something else is if you put the blue dye in it, right? Would your honey turn purple and you could sell for purple honey? So
now all of those frames right there that I had to scrape out, like I said, a lot of it was eight out, so it was missing, and then it's just real thin. But I still got 2 pounds, 11 ounces out of that.
Wow.
So you figure that if you go in $10 a pound, if you're having to buy wax, you're looking almost $30 just in wax that I saved.
Yeah. And if you're, what's one frame of comb equal to how much honey? Is it a pound of honey per frame? Is that right? Am I wrong about
usually, on average, they say 7 to 8 pounds of nectar or honey to draw out 1 pound of wax.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're saving on honey by adding that extra wax on your foundations.
Yep. And then I have a 4-quart crock pot back here that I melt my wax in, and then I'll roll it right here in the office.
Cool. So let me ask everybody another question in the chat. Now we're talking about rotating comb out, okay? Do you rotate your honeycomb out? Anybody think about that? So, I mean, it's not going to turn black like your brood, right? So
it depends if you run in queen excluders.
Like the comb in the super comb?
Yeah.
No, so long as it looks good. We
haven't rotated any of ours.
Yeah. Yeah, Grammy's got it right. Wax is gold. That's why we're talking about tonight. Yeah, I don't think I would ever rotate my super wax out. I mean, I don't know why I would, unless it looks bad, you know, but for the most part, I'd always be using it. I do get some pollen in my supers also, Brian, especially if it's, you know, when I put my queen excluder in and then the first box, it will get some pollen in it from time to time. You guys ever see that, Tom? Listen, Lee?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, just a little. We don't get a ton of pollen up in it, but occasionally there'll be a little bit.
I get some, but I don't use the excluders.
Yeah.
But
We
I
use
think
queen
I am going to
excluders,
go
but
back to it. Well, reason I want to go back to using the excluders, I'd stopped using them because I was along the lines thinking honey excluder. And then I did have the plastic ones too. And after I was trying to use them, the bees just didn't want to seem to go through them, even though I had drawn comb above the excluder. Now, if you put a brand new super on and it's not drawn out and you try to put a queen excluder, they're not going to want to go through there for nothing. So I put some boxes on there that had drawn comb and they still didn't want to go through. So I pulled the excluder out, let them go up in it. I figured, hey, I'll let them get in there, get their scent, start doing some more work, and then I'll throw the excluder in. I never got back out there to do it. But a lot of people were saying it was the plastic excluder they had trouble with.
Yeah.
Now, I know one company a couple of years ago, they had a bad batch come out and the openings on them were a little bit off. So all the ones that I got, which was probably about 35 of them, I guess, I threw them all away. But I went back the other day and ordered some from Better Bee, but I ordered the stainless steel ones, the metal. They had the galvanized or the stainless steel. And the galvanized, to me, they're going to bend a little bit easier. And you take a chance of a queen getting through. And then even though they get galvanized, they are going to wear out over time. So I went ahead and paid a little more and got the stainless steel ones. That way I don't have to worry about them bending. I don't have to worry about rust or anything like that. And hopefully they last at least my lifetime.
Yeah.
So we have some plastic excluders that just like came with stuff that we've purchased in the past. And I was actually looking at them, I don't know, about a month or so ago when we were putting excluders on the hives because we were running out of the, because we only use the metal bar ones. But we'd had these and we needed a few more. So I'm like looking at it, I'm like, those openings just seem so much smaller than the metal bar one. And I'm looking, I'm like, that's why like the bees are getting torn up going through these excluders because those edges on those plastic ones are kind of sharp.
They are sharp. Yep.
And the opening is not as big as what it is on the stainless steel metal plastic excluders. So we've never used any of the plastic ones. We stay away from them.
We usually give them away.
There's about 4 or 5 very good comments right here I want to go through. And Keith Spillman made a great point. No, the nectar is transferred to the honey supers by the bees and haven't been out of the hive to cause contamination. I think that's a very true statement. That's why you don't see that comb in your supers change colors. So great point that you made there, Keith. And then D&D's Apiary Dan said, only if there is an upper entrance. So if you have an upper entrance, then yes, you can see some contamination that way. So that's another great point to be made. Then Shane here made another good comment. A bit of pollen in the honey is good. Adds some nutrients value. So again, another great point. Even your honey that is in the chambers himself, it has pollen in it. So that's pretty good. And then Grammy has a question for everybody that I think is what's y'all's preference on storing your honey frames? So we seen that Lee lost some to wax moss, and Spanky's talking about losing some of his to some pests. So what is everybody's preference of storing your comb? So who wants to take that one?
I did have the paramoth on a lot of my boxes, but I have them stacked up, and then I put a paper plate in there at the top, and then I put my paramoth on, and then put a little feeder shim, I guess you'd say, and then the cover. Well, I pulled the stack apart one day to get something out of there. Don't even remember what it was. I forgot to put that paramoth back in, and that's when the wax moths got in and done a lot of damage. Now, the main reason I done that is I don't run queen excluders, so they did have brood cells in there from the previous year. So that's what them wax moths really like to get into, that brood and the pollen and all that. Now, if it's just a straight honey super, ain't never had anything else in it, normally a wax moth won't mess with it. But I'm going to try to make it a point, even if I do go back to running honey excluders, queen excluders, that even though when I stack one all season, I'm still going to put the paramoth on them.
And I'll say for me, I really don't do much for honey supers. I'm pretty much put them back on the colonies, let them clean them up, and then I'm taking them off and stacking them. Don't really put anything in for pests because it gets really cold up here, and by fall, I think it kills everything out of our supers. So, but
Now,
you told them this.
Where you store them at, do they get good light on them, or is it dark area?
It's a dark area. I just make sure I put an inner cover that doesn't have the hole, right? And I put it right down on top of it. I tape all the boxes as I go up so that there's no way any pests can get in that way. And then I put a inner cover on top or a top cover, and that's where I store my supers.
So
I have a question for Grammy. She says, what is y'all's preference for storing honey frames? Does that mean a frame that still has honey in it or once had honey in it? So I guess I took it the way of the actual honey frame. So I had this frame here is from last year. And I mean, it looks pretty good. This side right here, the bees on be the left side, the bee started to get a hold of it one day when it was sitting somewhere, and I can't remember now what it was, so it doesn't look as good. But I actually pulled this honey frame out, and again, it doesn't look as good as it once did. It's been sitting down there in my basement for quite some time. I pulled two of them because I was going to enter them into the honey show. Here's another one
for the state fair, but this is on plastic foundation, and you can't have plastic foundation.
Yeah, it's on plastic foundation. You can see where it's gotten a little bit marred in the basement. So what we did is we actually froze it, and it's just been in my basement. Now my basement's finished. It's not doesn't have any pests or anything like that in there, what have you. But so if you're actually asking for an actual honey frame, sometimes. So right now I've got three deeps of drawn out comb that have stored honey in them, and we actually will freeze those and then hold them back for a while. And if we realize that a split needs some honey, or later on the season, if some after I fed, they're not quite to the weight that I want, I'll go out there and pull semi-undrawn frames out of those colonies, and I'll put those honey frames right back in these colonies, and I'll use them up. So I guess it kind of depends. It looks like she kind of clarified on that. So I guess I took it the wrong way, but I'll let you tell them about what we do with the sertane.
You're gonna let me talk?
Maybe.
So nice.
We'll see.
Oh.
You have my permission now.
Yeah, I have your permission. So when we get done pulling honey, get done extracting everything, we actually take the boxes out and set them out for bees to actually rob out. Last year, I think we put them all back on Tom's trailer, and he took them to one of our out yards in the middle of the out yard, far enough away from the hives that it wasn't going to cause any robbing between the hives, and just let all the bees clean those supers out of any residual honey. And then after about, a few days, we'll bring them back up to the shop, and I'll mix up sertane, BT, and spray all the frames with it. We put it in a half-gallon pump sprayer that I got from Harbor Freight and spray away. Put them back on the trailer, let them dry out for a day, and then store them in a shipping container. And we never have any issue. We don't really have much brood. We've had, a few queens get up in our supers before. So there's a little bit of brood comb in some of our frames, but we really don't have much brood comb in any of our super frames. So we probably technically don't need to treat them, but like I think it was Grammy said earlier, comb is gold, right? Or wax is gold or whatever it is. So like if I can preserve that in any way and have a little extra insurance, wax is gold, yeah. Have a little extra insurance that my frames aren't going to get destroyed over the fall and winter, I'm going to do it. Now, sertane is a little bit costly. But again, it's a lot cheaper than replacing I don't know, we pulled 129 supers last year. So that's a lot cheaper than replacing all that comb.
So is that something that certain that you're talking about? I don't know what that is exactly, Melissa. So can you explain a little bit about that? I know what you use for wax moths and stuff, but what exactly is that?
So certain is larvicide, and you can get it through Man Lake and Didot and all your local bee shop. And it looks like really, really thick chocolate milk that's gone bad. But it's a larvicide, so it will, if wax moths get on your frames, and they do, yeah. And that's what we buy. We buy that big jug of it. But if wax moths do get on your frames and lay eggs, as soon as that larva comes into contact with that larvicide, it kills them. So you don't have to worry about them making all those trails and webbing and all that nonsense in your frames.
Cool. I'm glad you explained it, because I really didn't know what that was. So that's something different for me. So
yeah, and that jug, how much was that, Lee? It was like $137. What was it?
137.
So I probably use, like I said, we had 129 supers. We run 7 frames in our 8-frame supers. I probably used maybe half of the jug last year. So I mean, like I said, it's not cheap, but it's cheaper than replacing all that comb. And then you don't have to off-gas anything. Right. So that's what I don't like, why we never want to use the pear moth, is because, number one, I don't want to smell it. And then you have to off-gas everything for what, a few days before you can put the supers on?
I would say at least a couple of days. I tried to air one out before for about a day and threw it on the hive, and they all come out the front door just like I'd put a fume board or something on. They did not like it.
And so that's like a time management thing for us. Like, that's just one more step that we have to remember to do, is take all those supers out, let them air out for, a few days to a week, and then we can put our supers on. We're with Tom landscaping in the spring and all the other stuff we have to do. It's a time management thing for us. It's just easier to spray them all, put them away, and just drag them out when we need them.
Trying to read all the comments. I got moving on so fast there.
I know.
I can't keep up with all of them.
I was trying to catch up with them.
So does certain affect the brood or bees? No, because it's a larvicide, and no, it doesn't affect them.
Lee, if you want to throw that link up there, if anybody wants to come in and talk a little bit about comb tonight, we'd be glad to have you on. I think Cayman made
Go ahead, Ricky.
Go ahead, talk. Well, I think Cayman Reynolds was talking about how precious comb is versus, honey and stuff. So, we got to do that challenge too. Yes.
You have to pin that.
That's not a challenge.
Oh, it's a challenge.
I would just eat some of Spanky's apple pie infusion. I might just drink this whole bottle.
I know he sent me some here a couple years ago, and it didn't take but just a little bit on the tip of your finger, and it would light you up. It was hot. Hey, Ricky, can you pin that link to the top?
Just got it.
Got it.
Just got it. Yeah, so Spanky sent Tom and Melissa some hot honey also, and Melissa has decided that she will try it. So I think this is a great time, while anybody wants to join the chat, for her to try this hot honey.
Melissa was told she was going to try it.
Yep, gonna.
She wasn't given a choice.
Which one you want first? This is infused with Scotch,
Which one's not as hot, Spanky?
scorpion blend peppers.
Neither one of them is as hot as the other ones I've got.
Starburst or Star Kissed? Which one should I start with?
They're about the same. Those are.
Want to use my spoon?
No, you have germs. You have cooties.
Oh, yeah.
No,
You've
no
got
double
them all
dipping.
too.
Yeah, no double dipping.
Smells good.
I'll try you some.
Yeah, go ahead and turn that
I'm not
bottle
brave
up.
enough. I don't like hot stuff. I'm not brave enough to try it.
Should I go get like a toothpick and try it off a toothpick?
Nope.
Toothpick? Like, am I gonna?
No.
Spoonful.
Yeah.
Come on.
You put some on your
You
finger.
don't like hot stuff.
Come on,
I'm
You're
nervous
awesome.
now.
come on, Melissa, man up.
Man,
Oh, it ain't that bad. Them aren't.
Which one was that?
I don't know.
So this is the Starburst.
I need a creamed honey chaser.
It's scorpion blend. All right, fire away.
It is hot.
Come on, down it. Let's go.
It gets warmer.
It hits you in the back of the throat is what it does.
Hey, Lee, you weren't supposed to say that.
It does get warmer. It tastes good. You know what would be good on is
got a good flavor.
chicken nuggets. It does.
We take a little
I
bit
might
like
need
a
a different
pizza
spoon.
crust, drizzle it around your pizza crust.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Yep. This would definitely be good on chicken, like hot chicken or something.
Clean that off.
Clean it. That's too much. My mouth will be too hot, and then I won't be able to taste the other one.
Oh, you're a tough guy.
When Tom Paul's asleep tonight, and he's sleeping with his mouth open, I'm gonna take the spoon. I'm gonna rub it all over his tongue.
Dave said he's sleeping on the couch anyway.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him. Okay.
I just slipping some hot tea.
Oh, okay, let's try the other one. I know you made a mess. You had a honey frame sitting there. Nut.
So
let's
how
try the
hot
other
was
one.
that?
This one is. It's warm. It did make my eyes water hot, but I also just barely tasted it. So, Starburst is this one. Let's show this one. I'm curious. Do they taste different, Spanky, or are they just hot?
You'll have to tell me what your tolerance is. We'll decide that.
She's just stalling right now.
Are you going to make the news? Maybe. Tom maybe not be around for next Thursday's broadcast.
I have a hard time getting that payment made.
Oh, this one's hotter, I think. The Starburst is hotter.
That's ghost peppers. Actually,
Yeah, but
so
does it taste
Spanky, correct me here if I'm wrong. Isn't a ghost pepper not a pepper but a chili?
Oh wait. I like the label on the honey. Ooh. Can you read that?
We have to put that on them in North Carolina.
Yep.
We actually do too.
No, we don't.
It has to warn against
No,
under a year
No, it
for
doesn't.
botulism. So where's
This would be a good punishment for my teenage boys, though.
Nah, I've got one that Ricky tried that I think's hotter than anything else I've made.
Which one did I taste second? That one? Okay, I like the one I tasted first better
That's the Starburst.
because the one that I tasted second is it's hot. I don't like you. I can't even taste the honey. I just taste hot.
She barely even put any on her tongue either.
Your turn.
You better watch out. That's a weapon she's got in her hand.
I know. I don't. I'm telling you right now. I'm throwing it out there. I don't like hot stuff. I mean, plain and simple. Call me what you want. She calls me a wuss. That's fine. I don't like hot stuff. But I do like this right here. The apple pie. That's from Spanky too. That's really good. That has a really good flavor.
Yeah, I like
I'll tell
that
you
first one, the star kissed. But my dad likes hot stuff, so I'm going to take that over to him for him to taste when
There
we
you
go over
go.
there for dinner Sunday. Maybe I won't tell him it's hot honey and just have him taste it.
Not nice.
That's not nice. Well, I never claimed to be nice, so.
I'll tell you what, the fused honeys and the creamed honeys, they're so good. I love them. But when I went down to Spanky's house, and I like hot stuff, he gave me a spoonful of something, and I'm like, okay, it's fine. I took it. I like hot stuff. And then it was like, it's getting hotter. It's getting hotter. And it's like my whole mouth's on fire. And I'm like, you're going to have to give me something to drink. I can't take it no more.
I think it's that second one that I tried. That one was hot. So do you try
So
these,
keep
Spanky,
it-
after you make do you try
Yeah, I eat them.
Do you try them? You
I
eat
eat
them?
them. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I like putting them on like ribs or something if I'm smoking meat.
That pineapple's good too. The spiced pineapple orange infusion. I like that. That's good too. So far, my favorite is the apple pie.
Bye, Brian. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, Brian, don't be late picking us up from the airport.
So you guys are going to the conference, is that not correct? Where Brian's at in Colorado, is that right?
Yeah, we're gonna speak at the Colorado State Beekeepers Association, I guess, is what it's
Awesome.
called, conference on Saturday. So this should be interesting. Be fun.
It'll be
Right.
good.
Hot as it gets older. Which one's that? The blueberry?
Yes.
See, I didn't like we got blueberry, like Bob Benny's like blueberry honey, and I didn't care for that. But it wasn't infused blueberry, it was just, blueberry honey.
So I'll tell you, Spanky, I like the apple pie the best. My second would be the spiced pineapple, and then my third would be the blueberry. But the apple pie that's phenomenal. That's really good. And I'll leave the hot honeys for Melissa. All right, Spanky. She can
Hey,
have those
Joseph,
all to herself.
Yes, Joseph says, how do I get a hold of someone about a horizontal bee to purchase some product for a side, the hives? Joseph, sometimes our website, I don't know why it kicks some messages out in spam. So sometimes it takes us a week or two before we actually get that email to look in our junk mail. I'm not sure why that happens from time to time. So if you sent a message through the Gmail account, if you want to send me a text on my cell phone, I can try to take care of you and get what you need. So I'll type that in, and like I said, you're more than welcome to send me a text if you need to. Lee's gonna bring the website up right now and show it to you. But if you've already went through that website and you didn't get a response, then just give me a text. Okay.
So this week we moved a bunch of those splits that Tom was talking about that we made, that we went and checked if they had mated queens back. We moved all of those out of nukes and into some 8-frame equipment. So that was fun. It was we actually used a bunch of the 8-frame equipment that we got from Golden Bee. So we'll see how that performs. Everything looks amazing though. So kind of excited about that, to get those moving along.
So you guys going straight 8 frame now, Melissa, or are you guys doing 10 and 8?
Yeah.
Or what's going on with that?
No, so we have pretty much everything is 8 frame with the exception of colonies that we keep at our house. So right now we have about 11, I think, colonies at our house. 3 of them are in horizontal hives from yours truly. 2 of them are in 10-frame Apiaries, and 2 of them are in 7-frame Apiaries. So those are the only hives we have that are not 8-frame hives. Everything else that we have is all strictly 8-frame. And we did that because when we started, we were running 8-frame, and then you buy equipment or buy bees from somebody and they already have the bees in 10-frame equipment. So that's the only way that we actually ever accumulated 10-frame equipment. We never actually bought any. And we would have it, in different yards and whatnot. And it was just such a pain. Again, it's about time management and just streamlining everything. It was such a pain to remember, okay, out of that yard, how many 10-frame hives do we have? How many 8-frame hives do we have? What do we need to bring? What equipment do we need to bring that's 10? What do we need to bring that's 8? This, that, and the other. So I guess it was last year we started just getting rid of all the 10-frame equipment and just replacing it all with 8-frame. I think we bought 50. Was it 50?
43.
Last time?
Oh, last year?
Yeah. I think we bought like 50 complete 8-frame hive setups so that we could just get rid of all the 10-frame stuff that we have and transfer it over to 8-frame, because it was just a pain, just trying to remember what needed to be where and whatever. So
I think if I had to do it all over again, I would have definitely do 8-frame stuff. I mean, that's just my opinion. I have horizontals, but I'd do away with the 10-frame and do the 8s. I seen Keith Spillman set up down there in his bee yard with the 8-frame stuff. It just looks so much easier. I'd run double deep 8 frames, and I think that's a perfect number for brood. That's my opinion, but I think they're a little bit easier to handle, and supers are easier to handle. So, I think you guys are on the right track with that.
Well, the 10-frame equipment for me is just so awkward, and I'm not a large person or, height-wise. So and it gets so heavy. It was just really awkward for me to handle that 10-frame stuff. So that was the main reason we went with that 8-frame, because if I'm in a bee yard by myself, I don't have my hive lifter over here to help me out. So, I got to do things on my own. And anyway, the 8-frame is a lot easier to handle than the 10-frame. Those 2 frames actually add a lot of weight. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize like how much weight that adds. And then you have like the dimensions of the box, and that added weight just makes that all the more awkward to handle. So that's why we went with 8-frame. And then just from working with it and just talking to people that run 10s, they are often telling us that they have a hard time getting the bees to build out those last 2 frames on the end, and they're constantly having to cycle them to the middle to get them to build out. We don't have that issue really. I mean, maybe occasionally, but we really don't have that issue running 8-frame. They'll build it out all the way, side to side, wall to wall. So
I mean, occasionally we'll still checkerboard stuff in just to get them to build some more comb for us.
That's usually, just when we're trying to get them to build a comb.
But no, I mean, I would say an 8-frame box is probably less necessary to checkerboard or bring those outside frames in, because they will draw it all the way out. So I know some people will run a 10-frame box, run 8 combs, and then a division board feeder in there. So really, they're an 8-frame box just with a feeder in there. Probably not a lot of difference.
Or like the one guy here in St. Louis, we know, he runs 10-frame equipment, but even in his brood box, he only runs 9 frames. And that's the other thing, is what the difference between an 8 and a 10-frame box is. In a 10-frame box with 10 frames in it, you have 0 wiggle room in that box. Like you have none at all. You put 8 frames in an 8-frame box, and you still have what, a 1/4 inch on each side, maybe?
Maybe. Well, it kind of depends. Once they start to draw it out, put a little bit of propolis on the sidebars. It'll take up a little more space.
But you have a little bit more and with your frames and whatnot, and an 8-frame equipment too.
Yeah. So I want to answer a question earlier on. Philip Moore says, where's he at? Can you run single deep brood management with 8 frames?
Click where it says show.
So generally speaking, we usually don't, because I like the double brood box, but
Buys you time.
but we have before in the past, and I do have a couple colonies out there right now that, because I didn't have a second brood box on my truck when I had gone to that yard, I just went ahead and put a super on them. So I've got a couple of them in the yard that I was just in this evening that are in the single deep, and I went ahead and checked them and they were filling. So I went ahead and went down into the brood nest. There was only one super on it because it was a split earlier this year, just to see how it looked, and everything looked fine. There was no issues down below. They weren't trying to build a swarm cell or anything like that, and they were utilizing it pretty well, and then storing everything up top. So what I'll probably end up doing is before too long, I may pull that super, put another deep box on, and if I have to stimulate them with a little feed here later on to build another box of comb, I'll do that. So, but we're really trying to build a lot of frames, build a lot of comb. So I'm a little bit less concerned with honey production. So my goal might be a little different.
And I think, like, Joseph Duke here is talking about nukes. This is my first year really messing with nuke boxes, and I'm really enjoying it. They're drawing that comb out so good in those 5-frame nukes and stacking one on top. And if I want to do a split, it's easy just to take that nuke off, drop it down, and boom. I'm just putting a queen cell in there and letting that one get started. So, and then, just add another 5-frame to that same box you just had that was so strong, right? And it's like 2 weeks later, boom, you're dropping it off. You're doing it again. So I'm really enjoying the 5-frame nuke setup, and then somebody mentioned about doing a 5-frame flow hive on top of a nuke system. So we'll get to see that coming up. So that'll be very interesting.
So we do that often. When we make our splits in the spring, we'll stack them, let them get to 3 high, and then transfer them into our double brood box 8-frame equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Because they build. It seems like they build a lot faster going up than they do going out.
Yeah, under a nectar flow, you don't even have to pull a frame up into that empty box. Just slap a box. I did that tonight. I did it on 3 hives that I didn't have much time left before we had to come to the chat. So I went ahead and just took another Nuke deep super with 5 frames in it, pushed them together, threw it on top, and then I did it on 3 of them. I just threw them up there and walked away from it. So they'll continue to build comb on that next. So
yeah,
pretty easy.
And that's another thing is I'm using those 5 framers to build some comb also, right? Because it's pretty quick and it's so easy to take those combs off because you're not having to unstack a bunch of boxes to get down to them because it's just right there. It's so easy. So I like it.
Yeah, it is pretty easy.
So DC's saying about running a double stack as a reserve for winter failures. We run double stack nukes through winter often with great success because we let them fill that top box with honey, and then we always put candy board on top also just for extra insurance. But those nukes usually come out of winter really strong.
Mm-hmm.
You got you a bunch of nuke equipment, Ricky?
Yeah, I built 53 boxes. Built a brand new hive stand. Going to do some grafting starting tomorrow. So if you guys don't know, we're actually going to be going to Mexico. Hopefully my wife doesn't kill me. I think it's June the 10th. I'm bad with my dates. We're going to be gone for about 3 weeks. So I really got to get these grafts going so that I can get these nukes running while I'm gone on vacation. So yeah, but I've made a lot of nuke equipment here in the last week. So I made 53 boxes. So it's a big savings if you can make your own boxes. So
somebody's got over 100 5-frame nuke boxes for sale in Morganton for $25 a piece.
Wow.
And the picture shows the bottom board, the migratory cover. So I was thinking about contacting them and seeing what's up with that.
You're right. Yeah, Brian, I think you should try some grafting, and you have Greg Burns, who's a master grafter or queen rearer, so you've got somebody you can really learn from. And if I have any questions, I'm gonna start giving Melissa a hard time and calling her up and say, hey, what am I doing wrong? What else do I need to do? Because
Well,
I
I'll
need as
tell
much
you
help as
what.
I can get.
Corey Stevens is doing a class. Oh, let me find it. Here in Missouri. I think it's later this month or later in
I didn't
June.
see that, yeah.
Later this month. It's tomorrow. Let me see. Hold on. 1 second.
Yeah, we took his class 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
What's like you can go to a class about queen rearing and grafting and stuff, but if you don't actually like have hands-on training to do it, it's kind of like I don't know. It's something that you really need to do yourself and have somebody show you, or to me anyway. Like for me, it was I wanted somebody to show me what I was doing wrong or what I was doing right, to make sure I was getting the right age larvae, to make sure that I was, scooping it correctly. Thank you, Jonathan.
Jonathan says June 22nd.
Yeah.
Then
Well, sometime I need to go for a few, Ricky, and try out grafting.
Yeah, come on up. You'll see how not to do it, Spanky, because I have failed several times.
Well, I mean, I don't know either,
Well, that might make me feel good. But then if you fail too, then I'd feel bad. So,
Hey, it's fine.
Jonathan, is that in Clinton, Missouri? Where is that taking place? I can't find the thing, the ad anymore. Anyway, Corey does a really good job of with his class. We took it 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was well worth the money.
Oh yeah, he is teaching it at the MSBA event.
Well, he'll be there, but he's gonna. I don't know if it'll be a hands-on thing at the B Day thing in June. But he's doing like a separate class somewhere. I don't know. I have to find it.
Well, it is
Joseph,
possible he probably would be because.
Yeah. Joseph, I think for grafting, you just have to kind of get in there and do it some and learn your mistakes. It's great to learn from somebody else, but until you just bite the bullet and get in there and do it, what harm does it? If you don't get no grafts to take, no big deal, right? You just keep trying until you figure it out.
You haven't lost anything, right? Just a little time.
It's a little time. That's it. So
pull up some YouTube videos.
That's
what I do.
How not to do video.
So Ricky can make a YouTube video on his first time doing it, and then he can show what his take is.
Yeah, there we go. It would actually be my 4th time doing my grafting. So I did 3 last year. So first one of this year.
So you have experience then.
A little bit of experience. I know more about what not to do than what to do at this point in crafting. So,
hey, that's part of learning, though.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know, it's fun. It's the thing about grafting and queen rearing is it's very good. Well, you can contact Mr. Brian Coper and get you a queen right dial.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can stay on schedule, but you really have to like stay on schedule. Like you gotta harvest, pull your frame this day. You gotta the age of the larvae has to be a specific age. Put it back in there. It has to stay in there. So you have to pull it on this exact day, otherwise they're gonna hatch, and then you're gonna have queen massacres going on. So you really have to plan out how you're going to do that and make time. So here's the thing I was talking about with Corey. If anybody is interested in that,
it's July.
Yeah,
July 27th.
But so I think it's like $185, or I don't know if that says 185, 165. But if you want to really learn how to queen rear and graft, it's well worth the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were doing.
I think Jonathan was saying.
Corey is going to be speaking at the
Yeah.
Missouri Bee Day here.
Yeah,
at
so
the end of June.
he wasn't wrong. June 22nd is the Missouri Bee Day. That's for the Missouri State Beekeepers Association, and it is possible he may be doing actual hands-on. I know he is teaching a class, so
yeah, I just
Jonathan is correct too.
Yeah,
and I think Melissa's
Spanky.
right. The biggest thing is, getting your timing right on that grafting, because I let some overstay. And, I knew I had about 15 to take. And when I went in there, I had one queen left. So I was 3 days late. So I just miscalculated. So it's easily done. So the heirloom containers to put on them, that's something that I bought for this year, so that if I do get off the schedule, that they're caught and I don't have to worry about it. So just be aware that you can be late on them and end up with nothing when it's all said and done but one.
Well, and the other thing too, and we've just learned this just from talking with Corey so much, is when those virgins emerge, you have to feed them like immediately. And then you want to get attendance with them as soon as possible. And you really want to get them in a hive, pretty quick also. Because they will just deteriorate.
Yeah.
Pretty quick. Within 4 or 5 days, they just start not being worth anything anymore.
Right. Bees are social insects, so when you isolate them like that, they don't do well.
So, but anyway, my point in saying that is that's also something that you have to make sure that you schedule time for, whether you're going to use the queens that you graft in nukes or splits, or if you're going to sell them or whatever you're going to do with them. You really need to have that plan in place, so you know what's up.
And speaking of queen rearing, if you was to go on to Tom and Melissa's new YouTube channel, they just did one video where they were opening up queen cells, and I found it very interesting how Tom was picking up those workers and shoving them into there. I'm not that brave yet to be able to do that, but you can get to see his techniques of how he used that. He was doing some kind of weird technique with his knees holding the frame while he was doing that, which I thought was really interesting. Also, I've never seen anybody do that before. So he's kind of set the Indian style or something and piercing that frame, and he's working. So it's a really good video to go check out. I found it very interesting.
So I had to do some really interesting editing with that video because of the position that we were both sitting on these little collapsible stools, right? And we just were working out of those easy nukes, so those chloroplast nukes and whatnot.
They're sitting on the ground because we had set a bunch of them out.
Yeah, and so we're just
How do you do that?
So we're just we're just kind of facing each other, and there's not really a good angle to shoot that video. So I really had to edit it. So sorry, everybody, but so you're just not staring at Tom's crotch the entire time.
Oh, okay.
Because the way he was because of the way he was holding the frame, and I'm sitting, and when you're filming it, you're like, I'm just watching him, catch the queens and handing him cages and whatnot, and then I'm going back and watching him like, how am I going to use this? So I had to do some creative editing. Yeah. But anyway,
Listen,
of course,
I will never watch that video the same way ever again. I will never watch that video the same way. I can't even see it now.
Yeah.
Well, I think Lee caught the only clip that probably has.
It was a comfortable way to sit because the collapsible stool is only 12 inches off the ground, and I just, with having your knees higher in the air with your butt lower, I just took that frame and slid it right between my calf and the backside of my knee. And it was holding it right there just fine. So when I was using
Brian, I thought about it. I was going to, and I'm like, might come off wrong. But
Brian, what's funny is when I started to watch a video that she shot, the first thing I said is, I'm like, well, that's a nice crotch. And she's like, oh my gosh, I can't unsee it now. And I'm like, well, maybe you need to do some editing or something like that. And then she actually said, Brian, she goes, I'll put a smiley face. I'm like, that's perfect. Just do that. I'm like, it'll make a great video, just kind of making fun of it along the way too.
I
right?
thought about it, but then you never know how people will take it, and
Yeah.
so I didn't, but it was, the thought was there.
Well, besides that, I think it was a very good video. You got to see how, you guys were opening the cells, letting the queens come out, how Tom was catching the bees. It was a great overall video. It really was. So I enjoyed it.
Thanks. Well, if you watch it, you'll see at the end. So that hive alone, I think we harvested 8 virgins out of.
Give me Brian.
I think we harvested like 8 virgins out of that, and then a few of the cells weren't completely ready to hatch yet, and so Tom was able to pull them out without destroying them. So I think there's like 5 of them we were able to save.
Yeah,
and you can see the age progression of like how white dark they get right before right before they get ready to hatch, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, I end up putting the cage over because sometimes if you don't grab a hold of that queen when you first try to grab her, what'll happen is she'll try to fly off. So that's why I just went ahead and put that on there. Usually I sneak up behind them and grab them and then put them in there. But another thing I found that's really useful and that helps me out with grabbing some attendants is I want the ones that have their heads down in the nectar frame or that are getting nectar because they'll plump up and be able to feed the queen a little bit easier. But I like them whenever the bees are actually running toward me because then when I grab them, their head is actually down. So if I put them in the cage, whichever one it is, when their head's down, it makes them want to crawl down. And then I just tap their butt just a little bit and they'll walk down into the cage itself. And that seems to work out pretty well. Now, trust me, I've taken plenty of stings in the fingers trying to get a hold of it. And I still get an occasional sting, but honestly, the one thing that I found that helps me is just confidence. Just do it, and it seemed to have worked out pretty good. It doesn't take me long to do it. So
Morris says, how do you introduce virgins? So you want to make sure if you're going to introduce a virgin, you really need to make sure that your hive is hopelessly queenless. So there's no larvae that's young enough for them to make a queen out of. There's no eggs that are going to hatch in the next couple days that they can make a queen out of. So first off, you need to make sure that the hive is hopelessly queenless. And then we just put them in candy cages, and let them go.
Yeah.
So those that nuke, there were several in that yard. We kind of did like walk away splits, and they had made all these cells, and we were actually going back that day to check and see if there were any cells in these, if any virgins had emerged. That's the day we harvested the 30 queens out of all those hives. So we don't use cell protectors because that would have just been, there are way too many in that hive to they just need to be harvested. We have cut cells out and taken them home and incubated them to hatching. But the reason that we actually were opening the cells is because when I was originally going through that hive, looking through it, one of the queens did emerge. And then so I'm looking for more cells on more frames. And then I pull out that next frame and there were queens. Like you can see that she was chewing, getting ready to emerge. I'm like, Tom, come over here, get your knife and come cut these out so we can catch these queens, because they were like all coming out at the same time. So yeah, we've never done like putting cells in hives. We've always done virgins or mated queens. We've actually done more virgins than mated queens.
Yeah, the cell protector is a great idea, though. I mean, that'll help them from chewing off the side of it for sure. Yeah, what's funny is this queen kept poking her head in and out the whole time. Oh wait, it must have been the other one.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
playing peekaboo. So,
I got a question
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. What's that?
Do you ever had a queen sting you? Is that something they're
I've never had a queen sting me. And we were talking to Jane Sumi, this last week sometime, I think. And she's the lady that owns the local bee shop here in town. And she was saying that she had learned that the virgins can sting you, but once they get mated, they can't sting anymore because I guess of their spermatheca. They have too much sperm, so they can't push their stinger out anymore. But no, we've never been stung by virgins.
that's just what she told us. That's not. I don't know that that's a
Yeah.
fact, but that's what she said. So if somebody knows something different, then
Hey, Jamie and Brandy, how are you guys? But
I'm
yeah, so that was
sure they're
that was
already
a fun.
getting honey.
Sweet Harlan is already getting honey. Yeah.
I think they were already getting honey from the video I seen. Yeah.
Yep.
he should come up here and extract some of my boxes too.
Well, they definitely have world-class honey there because they did win Best in Show or Dark Jar honey, I think it was, at one of the conferences with Cayman Reynolds. So
I think that Jamie got first place at the second Hive Life, I believe. Jamie, which Hive Life was that you got first place?
Yeah, it's the second or the third.
And then I think this year we got second place in the dark or the amber, and I think he got third place in the amber.
But he got first in something.
Yeah, I
I'm
can't
pretty sure.
I can't remember what though.
He got first and then a second place also, I believe.
Jamie, brag on yourself a minute. Tell us what you won. He's gotten first place in the wax block too.
Yeah.
yeah,
That same year he got first place in the honey. So, but he was busy buffing his wax his wax all night that night.
Seems like an odd thing to do, but I'm not here to judge anybody. So Spanky, the hive that you have that's behind you in the picture, is that the one that you think swarmed earlier this week?
Oh, I know it is.
Yeah.
Because I went into it before it swarmed versus afterwards. The difference in bees. That's how I know that the little swarm in the tree wasn't all the bees.
Yeah.
That thing was packed.
Wow. So Sweet Harlan said they've extracted about 700 pounds as of now.
700 pounds.
Yeah.
Buffing your wax black does sound sketchy. Jamie, of that 700 pounds, what do you think the variety is? What kind of honey is it? Do you know? Just curious what you're getting in early spring. I would have no idea what we have in ours right now because the black locust was kind of not really. It was so spotty out by us.
Yeah.
So and with all the rain, the nectar kept getting washed out because even our tulip poplar, if they got any of it, it seems like it would rain and wash it all out. And so I have no idea what our bees have stored this spring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of an odd season for us. Have you experienced the same thing, Spanky, as far as your nectar flow?
I mean, like I told you, you guys, the other live, some of them I've been feeding, like the nukes I caught, and then the hive in the picture behind me, and even an overwintered nuke, and they kept taking the food until I ran out to give them. And the 10 frame I didn't feed from last year, they hadn't drawn out nothing. They haven't done nothing in terms of drawing out comb or to store honey in or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that picture that we're looking at is what Spanky had 3D printed. That's the one that had swarmed. It's quite interesting. I think
Yeah, that thing was packed.
Yeah. Spanky, how many pounds of bees would you just guesstimate that would have been inside that colony at its peak?
I don't know. I mean, it had a bunch on the front of it, you know.
Yeah. Would you think it's more than 3 pounds?
I don't know if there's more than 3 pounds. I'd say they built out about the same rate as that 5-frame Nuke.
Okay.
You know, the 5-frame Nuke had all of its frames built out, and they had all their frames built out. So I'd say it's probably about the same.
Okay. Yeah.
Spanky, what kind of hive is that?
It's a cathedral style, so it's not the exact cathedral hive layout. It's a little bit different, but the frames are similar, and that's what I was going for. Was one of the cathedral hives because I wanted to see what it's like to run some bees in one.
Yeah. I wonder how that would work for like a small mating nuke, since the frames themselves are smaller. How that would work?
Yeah, you could do a long one with normal Langstroth style frames, probably those half frames they sell like Motherload, and put you in a bunch of entrances, and then have you some divider boards you could just slot in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that idea is really cool. I think I've never seen anything like it whatsoever before. So you should actually enter that, Spanky, at Nobby, because there's a spot there for like inventions, new designs, and stuff like that. 100%.
Well, that's not a new design. I didn't. That design it's existed before.
Oh, has
I
it?
found it online. Yeah, it's actually patented. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, don't do that then.
You
Ricky,
know,
how are those bees up in the ceiling doing?
Oh, they're pretty packed. I'll let y'all look at them today. You know, you're talking about the flow and stuff. You know, one of the advantages of being in the mountains is the mountaintops. And I sent you some pictures of our mountaintops just recently where there was no leaves on the trees. So it gives a little bit of advantage of our flow. Even though we run out at the lower elevations, those bees can continue to work in the higher elevations and continue to get the flow. So.
Mm-hmm. It seems like they built that front comb, that smaller one. I don't remember that one being there last week, or if it was really small.
Oh, Ricky, you're muted. In case you didn't realize that.
You can't see the screen right now.
You can hear though. He's muted.
Ricky, you're muted. We can't hear you.
He probably hit the mute button when he picked his laptop up. Oh, he disconnected something.
Yeah. Ricky, tap on the screen if you can hear us. Nod your head.
Start doing sign language.
Yeah, sign language. Help us out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Thank you. Oh, is he back?
I'm back.
All right.
How about
Could
that?
be it.
Yeah, that front piece of comb there that you've seen is brand new, and they are expanding more towards the out towards the out inlet. So it's pretty cool to see the amount of bees that are in there right now. And then when you get up in the morning, from the new bees that have hatched, it'll be almost down to the bottom of the box.
Really?
Wow.
Bees.
That's
how
cool.
many hatches out during the night. Yeah, it's really cool. So,
Huh. What have your temperatures been where you're at this week during the day and then also the evening?
We've been pushing down to, I think tonight's supposed to be down to 41.
Really?
So yeah, 50s during the nights right now, and we've been pushing up into the 80s during the days. So good 30-degree swing. So it's been very interesting here in the mountains.
So Philip Morris asked about Nobby ranked the black jar. So this year they did not. They only had the one overall winner, from what I remember. Before at Hive Life, I think they did have places for black jar. And I'm pretty sure when Cayman did his live with Brett's English, I thought he had said that they are going to have places for black jar this next year. So I don't know why they didn't do places for black jar this year. They only did the first.
Didn't Myra Teal take that position? Is that right?
I don't remember.
I think it was her that got the black jar. I think she did another year also.
I don't remember. Yeah, all of our stuff is just, spring has just been so weird. Like the tulip poplar was blooming before the black locust, and then with all the rain, it's just kind of thrown all the nectar sources in a tizzy, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the bees think they own us, Texas.
He won a bunch of queens last night on Bruce's Stream Team live stream.
Did he really?
Yes,
I didn't
he
get to watch that.
Say
Yeah, Blaine won a bunch of queens.
that. Okay.
I heard he also won some OA.
Wow, he was on fire last night then.
Yeah. Greg even gave away one of his breeder queens he's been working on.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, they gave away a bunch of stuff last night. I didn't catch the beginning though.
Yeah, I missed their live last night. We were out setting up that new yard till late, and then by the time we got home and had dinner, it was all over.
Yeah, Greg gave away an experience of getting to go up there to his shop and eating some cicadas with him. I'm not making that up. You can go watch the replay.
No, that's okay. Our summer flow is mostly wildflowers and clover. I don't even know what besides that.
So we just had catalpa bloom, and I think we just had, I believe it's called a Japanese dogwood. Let me think about this. About a week and a half ago,
You had that rose.
Yeah, what's it called? The
false rose.
What's that rose called, Ricky? It's the Primo something or other rose.
Is that the multiflora rose?
Yeah.
Multiflora. That's it. Yeah, multiflora. That finished up about a week and a half ago. Our clover is blooming. Everything from honey clover to white Dutch or the red, they're all blooming right now. Let's see, the catalpa just finished up. And I just now started seeing this week the elderberry is now blooming, and it looks like the sumac will probably bloom within a week or so. I'm thinking when I'm looking at it, give or take. Probably in different areas it'll set a little faster or slower, but that's kind of what we have pushing out in our area.
I have not seen a second wave of swarming, and I better not see a second wave of swarming.
Yeah.
I'm done with swarms.
I'm not seeing any in our hives. There's no swarm impulse now. That part has shipped.
Yeah, I think our hives are the same way. That I've got all my hives right where I want them at, and I'm not seeing any swarming in my hives. That doesn't mean that that won't happen in nature or somebody else's that's not managing their hives correctly. So
yeah. Yep. Yeah, we have most of our stuff is all queen right. There's only a couple hit and miss ones that are not queen right. We did five more splits last week because we needed to use up some of those virgin queens. So we don't have anything back in those yet.
I will
Probably
say,
check
you
on
know,
the
it seems
bees.
like every year, all the way up to July, I have a couple of hives that I can't get queen right. And this is the 1st
Mhm.
year I've been queen right for, well, over a month now. So it feels really good to have hives that got queens. You don't have to worry about them no more, and they're rolling. So it feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one nuke that Tom shook out today. Yeah, no, you did it today up at Little Tavern. It was a drone laying queen.
Oh yeah, I seen the queen in there. It was all drone stuff. So we squashed her, sent her to heaven, and then I just went away from. I shook all the bees out and just brought the comb back, and actually used it in a hive tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then we had another drone laying queen last week, I guess. And we squashed her, and they were getting ready to supersede her because they already had a cell in there. So we just moved that along and squashed her. But that when we went back this last week, she was nowhere to be seen. So I think she didn't make it back from her mating flight.
Mhm.
So we shook those out too because
Yep.
there wasn't a significant amount of bees. They were all older bees that wouldn't have
we
worked.
just shook them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did run out of supers that had drawn cone this year, and I had bought some supers off a guy that had gotten, oh gosh, I guess it was 200 supers off of a big beekeeper that he didn't want those supers no more, and so this guy had bought them, and then I bought them off of him for 75 cents with frames and the supers. Now the supers needed to be cleaned, the frames needed to be cleaned. So we spent a whole winter, that was last year, cleaning all the frames up, cleaning all the supers up. And this year I'm getting to add comb to all those supers and getting them added on. So I think we still like 50 or 60 supers to be able to put on this year. But we've got a lot of supers on the hives this year. So yeah, DC, 75 cents for a super with frames. You can't beat that right now, even if it does take some TLC. So
Yeah.
good night, sir.
I saw Lee had an image to pull up, so if he wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's where you can buy the cathedral hive. They currently are sold out, but that's what it looks like, full size hive. And yeah, they've got a patent on that. It's a pretty good sized hive for being what it is. It looks small in that picture, but it's a pretty big hive.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell this. It's hard to tell the size from that, but it does look like it's fairly large, I guess.
How many frames fit in that? Does it say?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's a picture of him holding the frames.
So is there a starter strip that goes in the top of that and they just build comb freely?
I don't know on that one. I mean, I would guess you would just put wax on that top bar.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a follow forward.
If I'm not mistaken, those holes at the top allows the bees to go through it. So that's kind of like their runway also.
Highway.
Interesting. That's really cool.
It helps cut down on them making holes in the wax.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
And mine, they haven't filled the holes in on mine, and I only saw one hole in a frame for travel. The rest of it didn't have no holes.
That's actually a pretty big frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can tell that's a good size comparison there. That doesn't look like a small guy right there. That's a pretty large frame.
But yeah, he's got a patent on that design.
Pretty cool. Are those built here in the U.S.?
I mean, I assume so. It's all wooden. I assume it'd be expensive to ship that in from China, I would assume.
Yeah.
Wasn't there somebody at the conference at the expo that had a round hive or something? Was that not correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Frederick Dunn actually got one and it has a video on it.
Yeah, he did actually.
I can't
What's going on, Greg?
remember what that one was called though.
Yeah, I don't recall either.
But it was not at Nabi this year. It was at Hive Life last year. And I can't remember. Yep, that's what it is, the Ivory Hive.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Good call, Brian.
But Fred Dunn has a video on it because he has one. So if anybody's interested in that. And it was kind of interesting because when he got it and he was putting it together, the wood is very thin.
Mm-hmm.
Like it almost reminded me of those little wooden airplanes.
Oh, the balsa wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it was that thin, but
He was pretty thin.
but when he was putting it together, like that's what it reminded me of. Or like if you have been Home Depot and they have like those little bird houses for kids to put together, you know, and it's that really thin plywood kind of board or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
probably
what
laser
that.
cut.
Huh?
Probably laser cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what the pieces of wood looked like that he was putting together, and it's all just like pegs, like they just fit together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of cool, but I don't know. But it kind of reminds me of that cathedral hive, you know, the how it's set up.
Yeah.
But I think they on that ivory hive, I think there was something in there to like measure or track the temperature and maybe the moisture level, but I'm pretty sure it was the temperature and stuff like that. Like there were some additional things to it.
Mm-hmm.
And some gauges like Spanky had that he gave me in my little miniature horizontal hive that I haven't got going yet. But Spanky, we're gonna get some bees in that box coming up pretty soon. So
you'll get it going and they'll fill it up quick.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun though. So I can't wait.
Glitter on there and get you some little frames of honey.
Yeah. Well, really, it's going to be a great little demonstration hive, and I can use it for some queen rearing also and dropping some queens in there. So it'll definitely work its way out. So appreciate that, brother.
So DC has a question about that's the temperature thing for the ivory hive and humidity.
That's from Spanky's.
That's from
that's Spanky's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought it was reading a little low with all them bees in there.
Oh, that's not the one I meant to. So where to go? DC. There it is. So we have not sold any mated queens, but we've sold like virgins, and we sell them for like $15. There are people in our area that will sell mated queens, and I don't know, ask like between $30 and $40. If you buy a mated queen from the bee store in town, she's asking between $50 and $55 for a mated queen. So.
And Greg Burns, it was just on here. He sells some queens. He's got some good stock, and he's always working on stuff. And he's got a great lot of information. I like listening to what Greg has to say, and he don't mind telling you straight up, you know, if you've made a mistake. And he definitely helped me learn a little bit about queen rearing. Some of my ideals weren't going to quite work out the way I thought they were. So that's good advice. That's what you need to know. So, but hopefully next year we can sell some queens. That's kind of some of the things we'd like to try to do here also.
Yeah. I mean, most of the queens that we get, we use them as plugins for our colonies that maybe have failing queens or we're making splits or something. When we sell them, it's because we have an overabundance. Like we harvested those 30 last week or the week before, whatever it was. And we kind of base the price on what the need is in the area. Like, are we seeing a bunch of people asking for queens? How many do we have? How many do we need to get rid of? You know? we kind of base it on that.
So you guys are doing like supply and demand almost. You know, if we've got a bunch, let's get rid of them. I don't care what the price is.
I mean, we're not going to like, oh, we have queens. Here it is. Give me $75. But, you know, we'd probably keep the virgins between 15 and 20. We, you know, wouldn't sell them for more than that. I don't know that we'll ever sell mated queens just because that would take a lot. $1 million.
Well, but Ron's like me. If I get one queen, I'm happy. So $1 million is definitely worth it.
Heck yeah.
So that backyard hives that makes that cathedral hive, they must be out of Colorado. Their PO box is in Colorado. So you're going to Colorado, you might could meet up with them.
Yeah, where's Brian with Flower Street when you need him? We could be asking him this question.
Yeah, no
so I
doubt.
assume that's where they ship out of, is Colorado.
There you go. I forgot Westcliff is from Colorado also.
There you go.
Wow, 85.
What's the zip code, Fakey? Maybe Westcliff Honey can tell us where at in Colorado.
It is, the PO box is in Crestone, Colorado, 81131. And they got a phone number too.
81131. Is that near Denver? Do you know Westcliff? Caucasian mated for $85. Goodness gracious. Goodness. I thought $55 was crazy. Holy cow.
Oh, there's Greg, the cicada muncher.
I think that $85 queen has gold bands on her abdomen.
Greg, do you sell your queens for $85?
He might sell his breeders for that at a special deal.
Yeah, he might actually. Yeah.
Jamie at Sweet Harlan sold a queen for $50 because he had an extra. DC, you paid $80 for queens, including shipping. Who were you getting your queens from? What kind of queens were they?
$80 queens.
$80 queens.
That's what they were.
I mean, that's like half a nuke.
Mm-hmm.
3 hours from Denver.
Yeah.
Okay, so that opens up more questions.
Yeah, Jonathan, I'd take a breeder queen for $85 also.
No doubt. Yeah.
What did Greg say here?
Breeders are
4 for $800.
For $800. The AIs will be $1,200.
Woo!
But I think that's pretty normal for breeders and AI queens.
Yes, it is actually. And I got queens from Greg last year, and I will say, and seen them down at Bruce's place also, they are some very good stock, very gentle. I mean,
I don't know about that.
Wait a minute. You're talking Bruce Jenny? Have you watched his videos? He does not have gentle bees.
He got some queens from Greg that were gentle, not Bruce's bees.
Oh,
Bruce's
yeah.
bees.
Okay. All right.
That's right.
Queens he got from Greg were amazing, and the ones I got was amazing. And you know, I was happy to get them. So really good queens.
So the two people on YouTube that I watch sometimes, Bruce Jenny, and then the guy in England, oh shoot, what's his name?
Richard.
No, he's in France.
Black.
Lawrence with Black Mountain Honey.
Yes.
Yeah.
I often wonder if they don't kick the boxes before they open those bees. Both of them, the bees are just all over them and all over the place. I'm like, they've got some angry bees, both of those guys. Like, what is going on?
Before they open them, they walk up and kick them. And
Yeah.
They open them. They said they're defensive.
Yeah. So the nukes that we ordered that we sold with the EMBA, we got from Holton Honeybees.
Tyler
Holton, and he runs an Italian Carney cross. And let me tell you, those bees have been so gentle. You could probably not even suit up and work these bees. Like they've been amazing. Hopefully they stay like that as they grow.
Yeah. Yeah. If I go into these bees a couple more times and they're not flying at my face, I'm not even going to wear a veil next time.
I got a watch going around them bees. You remember I went up there and I just walked near them. They started going after me. I thought, they don't like me.
Yeah, great. You're right. Tyler is a stand-up guy. I had a lot of dealing with him here.
He
this
came
last
through
year
for us in our little.
Yeah, him and I have had some great conversations. I really like him. I'm interested to get to know him a little more. It's a slight possibility, but I might be bringing him to St. Louis to give a talk sometime in November after his season starts to wind down a little bit. So, yeah, I really enjoyed some conversations with him over the last month and a half.
Ricky, are you gonna save that box and like put it on a shelf for display?
That's why I have it. No, I just liked how he did his, the way they came in. I really liked how that right there was. And, if I ever get to selling queens, this is what I want them to look like. When you get it, I want it to look like this. So it's very professional. So I kept it as a reminder. This is what I would like my queens to look like when I start selling mine. So
we've gotten some in similar boxes like that before. We got an order of 100 in, and then we also got an order in through another gentleman that I know here in St. Louis. We split an order, and there was 50 of them. That looks like it's a little smaller box. I'm just curious if Greg is still on here. Where do you source those boxes, Greg, for shipping queens? I'm just curious. I've never Google searched it, and I don't know. I'm sure it's probably not hard to find, but I'm just curious what source that you use for those
queen boxes.
Yeah, the queen shipping boxes. It would be nice to know that for future.
And that's something else people don't take into consideration when you're selling queens. Selling them in those boxes like that, that's a lot of money in those boxes and those little picks and everything. So,
definitely.
So, Jonathan, I think usually when you're just ordering a few queens, they put attendance in. But if you're ordering like an abundance of queens, like when we ordered those 100 for the EMBA, they asked us, "Do you want the attendance in with the in the cages, or do you just want them shaken in?"
Right.
And we were handing these out to club members, so we wanted them in the cages
individually. So. Yeah, if we were getting it for ourselves, or most of them were for us, then I would have just had that battery, I guess you would call it. They just shake all the attendants in on top of the cages. But we needed to have them individual attendants in each one because there was a bunch of different people that were getting that 100 queens, so it made more sense for that.
Yeah, the bees out there are a lot nicer now than they used to be. Now that I've got nothing but swarms and mean bees died off finally. I go out in the yard and do stuff around them, use the weed eater and the mower. And them little hives, I'll open them up and look in them.
It's called Flyer.
What?
On Greg's comment here.
I think it's that says they are.
Oh, I'm like, I thought that was a name or something. I'm like,
they are.
Can't read.
Yeah, they're just called Queen Right Shipper.
Queen Right Shipper.
Yeah. So maybe it just depends on the supplier, what they're going to do, or if you request them coming a certain way. Anytime that we've ordered queens, just a few queens, they always just have attendance in them. The only time anybody asked us if we wanted them the other way was when we ordered that 100 or whatever it was.
Greg, your typing's horrible from all those bee stings you take with them fingers all the time.
I tell you what, I got
Bruce's bees.
Yeah, you got some Bruce's bees in.
Yeah.
Killer bee stock.
I got stung under the fingernail last week, and that was probably the worst sting I've ever taken. It was, and the sad thing is, it was from a dead bee that got me. It was, yes, we did that cutout in that house, in that window alcove, I think that we shared last week with y'all. And I had cut some comb out, some chunks of comb, put it in some containers to bring home to set out on the table, like when we do vendor events and whatnot, so people can taste the comb honey. And I was really careful when I was putting into these containers so that there were no bees on it. I was brushing all the bees off and whatnot. And I got home and I was checking it all before I put it in the freezer. And this one chunk, and so I took it out of the container and I should have gotten a spoon or something to scrape out the bee off of it. And I'm like, oh, I'll just use my finger. And I did it. And that stinger got me right under the fingernail. It was horrible. It hurt so bad. That's the first time I've ever been stung under the fingernail, and I don't want it to ever happen again.
Well, you need to go back up there to Greg and have him show you how to do some grafting.
I would love to go up there and spend some time with Greg grafting. If I ever get a chance to get back up there, the way things are going, we're so busy and he's so busy, it makes a hard time to get up there. So
yeah.
I know. So Greg says that's the worst place. My skin, you can't see it, but my skin all around that tip of that finger is like peeling off where it's stung underneath there.
Yep, that, your eyes, right inside your nose. Oh,
yeah,
right inside the ear.
Yeah, I enjoy the hustle and bustle of the springtime rush, but sometimes it's nice to have that bit of a lull. When things kind of settle down just a little bit, kind of looking forward to that just a little bit. Been pushing a lot of hours here lately. So,
yeah, sweet Harlem, you guys, I think that'd be, I can't wait to get my store open. I'm going to have 3 or 4 of these in my building because I really like them. I like them being natural. But you guys will enjoy it. You learn so much from having an observation hive. So.
Yeah, you need to get your store up and operational, and then have a grand opening. Melissa and I will drive out there and come see you. I think it'd be fun.
JW was on here. Maybe he can just get the jet.
Yeah,
yeah,
Pick us up.
100%. Yeah, JW pick us up down Shutchfield, Spirit Airport. All you gotta do is drop down. We'll jump on the plane, just take back off. Won't even have a runway fee. Just have to sell a couple more cows. I might buy one of them.
DC said he took one underneath the arm, was worse.
Yeah, I've had that before as well. Under the armpit. Yeah. Stop out here and pick me up too.
So we were in our one bee yard today. There was, I don't know how many bees are up there at Little Tavern? 20? How many bee yards? How many hives?
Little Tavern?
Yeah.
No, there's only
14.
There's only 14 of that yard. It's
anyway,
the smallest one.
We were just checking supers, adding supers. There's 2 nukes out there that need to be moved into 8-frame equipment.
Yeah.
The ants out there, the little black ants, we use telescoping covers, lids, and there were ants in some of these, just a ton of little black ants. And usually they don't bother me. You just take it off and fling it behind you. The eggs and the ants go flying. All's great with the world. But there were so many of them. They were crawling on I just been using like nitrile gloves or whatever. They were crawling on my gloves. They were crawling on my bee suit. They were getting into my bee suit. They were biting me. It was so annoying. I've never been bitten by an ant before. And the initial bite, it's like, it kind of stings like a bee stings, but it's like really quick, right? It doesn't like last for 30 seconds like a bee sting lasts. And I'm like, it was like, I was just constantly like, you need to get done with this. And then it was just annoying. I've never been bitten by ants before. And
it was kind of comical from my standpoint.
I just wanted to get done. Well, he was moving those 2 nukes over. And so I was the one opening all these hives and putting the supers on. And so he wasn't running into the ant issue. It was me popping all these lids off and all these inner covers off, having to deal with all these nasty ants.
Mm-hmm. Sounds to me, Melissa, like you do most of the work. I mean, I'm just saying.
I know, right? I'm telling you, I can't.
I had to try to rush her out the door this morning at 4:30 in the
Yeah,
morning so we could get to that bee yard to close up the entrances or to screen them off so we could move that entire bee yard probably 30, 35 miles.
There was 11 hives out there. Mosquito bites, yeah. Mosquito. I don't like mosquito bites either. They itch forever.
Yeah.
I would rather take a bee sting.
bad out here. You go outside, there'll be like 12 of them at your feet.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, last night Tom set up the stands at the new yard, and then so this morning we got up at 4:30 to go out to this other yard and load all those, strap them down and load them up, and trailer them half hour, 45 minutes from yard to yard.
Yeah.
But then we went and had breakfast, so that was good.
JW said,
JW, why were you in the hospital? I hope you're doing okay.
It's all the stress of running around in that jet picking all y'all up.
I know, that's what I was wondering.
We even got Spanky in on this now too. Way to go, Spanky.
Let's see.
if anybody's ever up in Craig's area to get a chance to go check his setup up and his bee yard up, that's a great place to get out there and learn a lot. So if you're in that Ohio area, I highly recommend it. We had a great time up there, didn't we, Spanky?
Oh, yeah.
Jamie, we're definitely eating at that Cuban restaurant again. That was delicious.
Yeah, that Cuban restaurant in Louisville was good.
JW, what were you eating or got into that you got E. coli? Holy cow. That's no good.
Yeah, that place was good. I don't remember what it was called now, but that Cuban restaurant that was in downtown Louisville.
That must have been where JW got that from.
Well, we ate there and I didn't get it.
The food was so good. Actually, we went there and there was probably 20 or so of us at that restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's ordering, whatever. And the lady gets to Jamie with Sweet Harlan and asks him what he wants. And what'd you say, Jamie? Whatever your favorite thing is on the menu. So he had no idea what she was even going to bring out to him.
Yeah.
But it looked amazing. And he said it was delicious.
Some kind of steak. I can't recall now.
Man, when I went down there years ago, they had a really good pizza place down there. It did them authentic Sicilian style. But that was pre-COVID. I went down there.
I'm going to see if I can find the name of the restaurant.
I know we talked about this before, but it was nice to have, for us anyway, Louisville is much closer for us, so it's a shorter drive. But for me anyway, I don't particularly like cold weather. So like in January, even heading just a little bit further south down to, where Hive Life was at in, help me out. I'm having Sevierville. Thank you. Having a mind blank here. It's usually just a little bit warmer for one. And honestly, I kind of like the scenery there much better than in Louisville. It's kind of more of a homely feel, it seems like. But I guess that's where we're going again here for 2025. So.
Yeah, it'd be spending New Year down there about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you get your tickets yet, Spanky?
Oh, no.
No?
You can't get that boy to get out and do nothing.
Come on, Spanky. You know what? I'm sending JW by. You have an airport near your house? At least a grass runway? Well, I think what we need to do is we need to feed JW some Hive Alive or
there
some
it is.
Hive Alive,
yeah.
We just need to get him some good supplement to get his guts in right order. So we'll give him some bee feed, get him buzzing again.
Get him some of that super DFM.
That's right. That's right.
There we go.
Yeah.
Call up Earl and get Earl to send them some down there.
Yeah. 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 It's always a fun time meeting up with everybody,
Greg, we need that cattle prod for Tom to keep him in line.
Yes,
that's right.
So Jamie said La Bodeguita de Mima is that Cuban restaurant. It was absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah. If anybody, when they're going to Nabi here this next year in Louisville, you definitely need to look that place up. The food was really good. We're definitely going back. I'm pretty sure Jamie's buying me dinner, so
Is that it? Yeah, I'm going with you guys.
Jamie's
Jamie's
buying
buying
me dinner,
I'm going
so
with you guys.
you know I have to oblige for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lee.
The stream
I
team
think-
did Hive Alive shots about a year. I did hot honey tonight. I mean, was that not impressive?
I wasn't impressed. Spanky, I wasn't impressed because she barely took any of it, you know. It seemed like a big show.
Tom,
I think she looked like she was
as
pouring
soon
it
as
on her
you fall
stove.
asleep, as soon as you fall asleep, that's going in your mouth.
Yeah.
Jamie said he'll feed you. You too, Ricky. Look at that. Free meals for everybody.
Yeah. You know what? That guy's all right in my book. I take that.
Yeah, he's great, fella. I tell you.
He's a good guy. I like him.
Yeah, we're not as brave as the stream team. I mean, they are all out there. I mean, they're go getters. We're a little more on the wimpy side when it comes to that stuff.
We're just hanging back here a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the Super Pro DFM or whatever downstairs. We can,
Yeah, I can
you
get some
know,
power.
take some, do a line of Super DFM. I don't know.
Jamie, you'll just have to sell a little bit more honey, bud.
Yeah, no doubt.
Could feed
I can
y'all
feed
honey.
y'all honey. Hey, all right. I'll take it.
That's how we got the E. coli. Or that's what cured it. Which
Yeah,
one is
we
it?
don't know which
Yeah.
one.
So JW is feeling better, I guess. He's out of the hospital. So we don't need to catch that Southwest flight tomorrow morning. We can just JW can
Oh,
fly us up
absolutely.
to Denver.
I'd rather not go to the airport. Just jump down to the small airport down there. Sounds good to me. You can come out and hang out with us a little bit, you know.
There's the rebels right there. Look at it.
Oh, is that when they had done the shot?
Oh, that looks like some Spanky's honey.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
is that some of
Yeah,
the-
no, that's his label.
Did you try this hot honey, Craig? Which one is that, Spanky?
You got to turn your sound on. You're missing out.
I'll have to. When was that? I'll have to look that video up.
Brian.
I'm not diabetic. I've got the opposite. And so sometimes I got to watch out on sugar because it throws me through the loop up on the other side. So it'll be interesting to see. So I try to limit how much honey I actually eat, but I'm gonna just go to town here on this one. Is that too much on this? Let's find out. This is that hot honey. I think it was, let's read what this is here. Let's see. Infused with Scotch bonnet, ghost pepper blend, and peaches.
Yep. That's the one I got.
Oh,
I didn't go all in like that.
I think I actually missed that one. I have to go back and watch that.
That's a very good one right there. It's awesome.
That's the one you're getting as soon as your eyes.
You go to bed tonight.
I'm gonna dribble it all the way into the back of your throat.
It does. It hits you in the back of the throat. That one
Uh-huh.
does. It really does. It gets you good.
She might be staying here. I might be traveling out to the Colorado State beekeepers thing by myself. You know?
Well, you're not gonna make your flight because you're gonna be hacking in the bed,
I'll be all right.
trying to catch your breath.
I'll be okay. I don't think that lasts that long, right, Spanky?
Well, depends on how much I give you. I got a whole bear and this one too.
He won't go to bed none tonight. His eyes will be wide open. What's she going to do?
But see, I wake up before she does, so.
Well, guess it depends on how much honey I pour down your throat.
I'll still not be up.
That's a weapon,
Oh
right?
my gosh, we're a mess.
So Spanky, you yourself like hot stuff? You said
Oh yeah.
there was a gentleman that I used to do some work for, and he used to grow ghost peppers and some other different types of chilies and things of that nature. And he used to absolutely just love that hot stuff. And he took some of my honey, I think, and actually added something to it to heat it up a little bit. And he said it turned out well. I told him I wasn't going to try it, so he was on his own with that.
Who was that?
Yeah, in Pacific.
No.
So,
Yeah, I grow all different kinds of peppers. I even crossbreed them. I got some crossbreeds out there I'm working on.
well, you have a lot of hobbies, don't you, Spanky?
Oh yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned how to. I got on YouTube and I learned how to crossbreed Phalaenopsis orchids today. So
Interesting.
you learn all different kinds of stuff on YouTube.
Easy there, Lee. When it comes to the hot stuff, I'll take that title.
I mean, it is really sad when your wife tries it and you can't. So.
I mean, let's not get too proud. You took just a. I mean, she still has on the spoon that little bit.
It was. I poured a lot on the spoon.
No,
You're gonna
there
drip it on
was-
the laptop.
There was not a lot. You can see it.
It's getting ready to drip.
What did you make? Somewhere pour
There
a whole
was a
There
lot.
was not here.
There-
Eat up.
This is gonna
Eat
get
up.
messy here, guys. Turn away. Turn away.
Yeah, I poured that hot one I gave Rick. I poured a whole spoon. That one I ate on one stream. Sometime.
Exactly. That's what he's fitting to look like. I can't imagine somebody pouring that on a spoon and then, like taking a whole spoonful. Oh my gosh.
I did. I took
Well,
the hotter one.
You've gotten yourself immune to it.
No. Oh yeah, you're wasting it. Did the bees get
wasting it.
mad at you?
I can imagine if we set that outside, if the bees come grab it, you think they'll run away and go straight to the watering hole and grab a drink?
I don't
How
know,
many
they
people on here want to see Tom try this honey?
Y'all can try. Y'all can want what you want. What you want. It just ain't gonna happen for you.
Like I said, toothpick. Barely dip it in there.
Here, I'll tell you what. I'll try some.
He'll down
Oh
this-
boy, here we go.
I'm gonna go ahead and try some, guys.
Yeah, that's a jar. I didn't see no hot jars.
That's not the hot jar.
I was going to send a hot jar, but I didn't know. I thought it might be too hot.
This is his.
Apple pie.
Apple pie.
Apple pie infused. This is good. I like this. Yep, that's phenomenal.
Well, Tom, everybody's wanting you to try the hot stuff. Just one drop tonight, right before we get off the air.
I imagine they are wanting me to try it. They're going to keep wanting.
There's
We might have to
42 people on here watching, wanting to see this.
Well, then what we can do is, if we can get 100 people on next week, then I will try it. How about that?
Oh, okay.
And I'm just telling you, I don't like hot stuff. I don't care for it at all. So if you get 100 people on, tell your friends, log on. I'll try it.
I think I've
I'll
got at least 20 computers I can get up and going. So
No, you can't do that. So easy there, buddy.
It'll work out. Brian and Greg and then they tell everybody Wednesday to come over here so they can watch you eat that.
It'll only burn for 30 minutes after number 2.
You gotta give the people what they want.
Yep.
Oh, JW, how rude.
I'm telling you, that guy.
Did you see what he wrote?
Yeah, I did.
That is award-winning bourbon honey, JW.
I'll tell you what, I don't think that guy would know good if it hit him in the rear end. That's all. You know.
That's how I got to the hospital not knowing good.
Yeah, Jimmy's right. You gotta give the public what they want.
Uh,
Or hey, we can do this. If you don't get 100 people log on next week, if you can get next week for Ricky's channel, if they would donate. Let's see, what's a realistic number? Because Ricky usually takes. What do you say?
A $5 bill, Chris. $5.
No. Get out of here with that, Spanky. I'm not punishing myself for $5.
Hey, look at your picture. Look at your picture.
Tom Chicken. I love it. You know, I'm 48 years old, and I don't give in to peer pressure as easy as I might once when I was younger.
Carl.
But hey, if we can get 100 people to log on here next week, or I would say if people would donate.
The donate thing's not on tonight.
No, but he could turn it on next week, because Ricky usually takes that money that's donated to his channel. He's going to use it to give a Hive back later this year.
That's correct.
So I'm going to say, if you all can donate $150, I think that's a realistic, generous gift. Do that, and then I will try it. And I'm just telling you, I don't like hot stuff. So I'm not lying when I say that. So yeah, thanks, Carl. That bourbon honey is pretty top notch. Yeah. I've got 4 barrels, and I've got a second barrel holder or roller that I had my buddy of mine fabricate that I had to go pick up. He finished it last week for me, so I'm gonna go pick that up, and we're gonna start aging 2 barrels at one time.
We're actually sold. I think we have like 2 bottles of that left.
Yep, almost gone.
Double dog dare ya.
Okay, doke.
Yeah, and I'm not one to lie to you. Go,
no,
this it's hot.
Super.
Spanky's gonna have to send more.
Hey, not for $150 donation. I would. I'm thinking maybe like a couple $1,000. That's how much I don't like hot.
Got any of those turkey paster things? You can just, yeah.
Hold on. The bottle is only so big. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I mean, it's not huge.
But he could do both.
I mean, I love how this gal's egging on, and she barely took even a little bit on a spoon. And she's supposed to be the tough one when it comes to the hot. I mean, she is what, 25% Hispanic?
Yeah.
So
the whole 25%.
Yeah.
I'd watch accept any food or drink from her. It might be laced.
I know, right? Yeah. She's been indicative enough to do that to me too, Spanky. Yeah.
You better watch your dinner.
She'll have that phone ready.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of dinner, actually, you know what? Thinking about it, fellas, I don't believe I received any dinner this evening.
Me either. Nobody made me dinner either.
I wonder who was supposed to get it taken care of for me.
No, that's not how that works.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is a good time to get off tonight and go get something to eat. Because my daughter, she actually brought me a note just a second ago. And she says,
"Oh,
making go up a little higher.
Y'all are making me hungry."
Hungry for some of that hot honey.
That is funny.
So I think tonight's a good place to stop. We appreciate everybody on the chat tonight. Had a really good conversation about the comb. That's the things I enjoy, the laughing and carry on. And to talk to a lot of good friends. Appreciate you guys being here. Tom and Melissa, Spanky, Lee, you guys are awesome as always. I can't do this without you, and I do appreciate you being on. You guys are, man, you just make these live chats really easy, and I do appreciate that. But for the most part, we just want to say God bless, and till next week. So be here.
See you guys next week when Tom eats honey.